Ladies, gentlemen, and demons from another world, welcome to Matt TGM's Halloween edition of Archetype Review. Before you all comment that it's not actually Halloween, I can only make videos so fast. Today's topic will be one of my personal favourite archetypes of all time, Dark World. It's a decently old archetype, but it's still getting support in 2017, and it looks pretty spooky, so I thought I'd do it for not quite Halloween. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. The first monster I'm going to look at is this little guy called Kaki, Gorilla of the Dark World. Normally I review the monsters lower level to higher level, but I think it's important to establish the archetype's playstyle before getting into the other cards. This thing is a level 2 Dark Fiend with 300 attack, 500 defense, and the following effect. If this card is discarded to the graveyard by a card effect, target one monster on the field, destroy it. This is a simple effect, and while it's a bit outdated nowadays, it establishes the playstyle of the deck. Because Dark Worlds love discarding their entire deck into the graveyard, most of their effects are easy to activate, so this guy may not be too useful nowadays, but he could have been a decent choice back in the older days of the deck. The next monster that I'm going to look at is the one I would usually review first, Ceruli, Guru of Dark World. It's a level 1 with 100 attack, 300 defense, and its effect. If this card is discarded to the graveyard by a card effect, special summon it to your opponent's side of the field in face-up defense position. If this card is special summoned by the effect of a Dark World card, your opponent must discard one card. The last bit of the effect obviously applies to you because Ceruli is now in your opponent's control. This may be gimmicky, but it's not actually that bad of a gimmick. Some Dark World cards have stronger effects if your opponent actually discards them, and this guy lets you get those effects off. It's not too consistent of a combo, as you may not always have a monster that you'll need at the time, and Ceruli is a level 1 that could be used for Synchro, Xyz, or even Link plays, but he'll most likely be destroyed before your turn ends due to his mediocre stats. Overall, this card is a decent card for some cool plays, but he's not an essential part of the toolbox. Next up is Green, Tactician of Dark World, a simple monster with 300 attack, 500 defense, and this effect. If this card is discarded to the graveyard by a card effect, target and destroy one spell or trap card on the field. This guy is just Dark World's archetypal retrain of MST, but unlike other archetypal retrains of MST, he's not completely useless, considering you can use him as discard fodder to boost Dark World's consistency, and you can also use him with Allure of Darkness. Scar, Scout of Dark World, is a level 2 with 500 attack and defense, and this effect. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, add one level 4 or lower Dark World monster from your deck to your hand. Not only is this a very slow search, Dark World also has a better card that does the same job but better in its own archetype. Therefore, Scar is completely redundant and not really worth running in any Dark World build you can think of. Their first and only level 3 is Brawl, Huntsman of Dark World. It has 1400 attack, 800 defense, and the following effect. If this card is discarded to the graveyard by a card effect, draw one card, plus another card if this card was discarded from your hand to your graveyard by an opponent's card effect. This is a staple in Dark World because it's the archetype's best source of draw power, and it has the first effect that gets stronger if the opponent discards the card. This, combined with Ceruli and a certain other support card, can result in a combo that lets you draw 3 cards as well as set up your graveyard. Overall, it's a very nice card that gives the deck a good consistency boost, and as I said before, is worth running at 3. The first level 4 is Beige, Vanguard of Dark World. It has 1600 attack, 1000 defense, and this effect. If this card is discarded to the graveyard by a card effect, special summon it from the graveyard. Again, this is a very good effect that allows for easier rank 4 plays and the special summoning of the archetype's boss monster. Run 3 of these as well. Snow, Unlight of Dark World, is a level 4 with 1700 attack, 0 defense, and one of the most confusing effects in the game. To avoid the confusion, I'll be reading the effect the way it works, not how it's written on the card. If this card is discarded to the graveyard by a card effect, add one Dark World card from your deck to your hand. If this card was discarded to the graveyard by your opponent, target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, add the Dark World card, then special summon the targeted monster in defense position. This is the mentioned better search card of Dark World, and it's worth running 3 of these as well, because it gives a solid search, as well as the potential of stealing a monster for potential Xyz or even Synchro if you are running any Synchro cards. Next up is Bron, Mad King of Dark World. It has 1800 attack, 400 defense, and this effect. When it inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can discard a card. Apart from the passable stats, it's not worth running because there are better ways to discard your monsters. It's slow and it just looks ugly. I mean, look at it. It's ugly, man. The final level 4 is Zur, Knight of Dark World, a normal monster with 1800 attack and 1500 defense. It can potentially help make rank 4s with unexpected die, but it's irrelevant nowadays due to the presence of Beige and the amount of other options in the deck, so don't run it, you fucking piece of shit. The next monster is Gold, Warlord of Darkworld. A level 5 with 2300 attack and 2400 defense. It also has an effect. If this card is discarded from your hand to the graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon this card. If this card is discarded by your opponent's card effect, you can target up to 2 cards your opponent controls, special summon this card, then destroy them. This card helps give Darkworld a very small rank 5 engine as well as some decent destruction. However, it does rely on Sarubi or luck to get the most out of its effect, so you can run it if you want, but at no more than 2. Next up is Silver, Warlord of Darkworld. Another level 5, this one with 2300 attack, 1400 defense, and this effect. If this card is discarded to the graveyard by a card effect, special summon it from the graveyard. Then, if it was discarded by your opponent's card effect, your opponent returns exactly 2 cards from their hand to the bottom of their deck. This contributes to the small rank 5 engine as well as getting rid of your opponent's hand, but if they manage to empty their hand before, this guy does nothing. It's about as worth running as Gold. Use it if you want some variety, but he's normally not an essential part of the deck. Latinum, Exarch of Darkworld, is at level 6 with 1500 attack, 2400 defense, and the following effect. If this card is discarded to the graveyard by a card effect, special summon it from the graveyard. If this card is discarded to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, target 1 fiend type monster on the field, special summon this card, then if you targeted a monster, that monster gains 500 attack. Unlike the last 2 monsters, this card isn't worth using Sarubi on because an attack boost isn't very relevant in the current meta, especially one with this gimmicky activation condition. Apart from amazing artwork and potential rank 6 plays, there is nothing going for Latinum. The next monster is Lucent, Netherlord of Darkworld. It's another level 6, this time with 2400 attack and 0 defense, and if this card is discarded to the graveyard by a card effect, special summon it. Then, if this card was discarded by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon 1 fiend type monster from your deck to either side of the field. Unlike Latinum, this is actually good. It has good stats and it can potentially be an immediate rank 6, or you could bring out the boss monster to your field. You could even special summon another Ceruli to your opponent's side of the field to discard more cards and get more effects off. Overall, it's a very nice card with a lot of versatility, and if you run Ceruli, there's not much reason not to run Lucent. The next Hellspawn is Rainbow, Overlord of Darkworld. Yes, that is a contradicting name, I agree. It's a level 7 with 2500 attack, 1800 defense, and this effect. If this card is discarded to the graveyard by your opponent's card effect, special summon it. Then you can either destroy all monsters your opponent controls, or all spell and trap cards they control. This card is a bit strange. The payoffs are very good, seeing as it's either Raigeki or Harpy's Feather Duster, but it doesn't do anything unless discarded by your opponent's card effect. That drawback alone makes him a questionable choice to run, seeing as you won't always be able to discard Ceruli to get this effect off, and he's a dead card otherwise. The boss monster of this archetype is Grapha, Dragon God of Darkworld, a level 8 with 2700 attack, 1800 defense, and the following effect. If this card is in your graveyard, you can return 1 Darkworld monster you control except Grapha to the hand to special summon this card from your graveyard. If this card is discarded to the graveyard by a card effect, target 1 card your opponent controls, destroy it. If this card is discarded by your opponent's card effect, look at 1 random card in your opponent's hand, and if it's a monster, you can special summon it to your field, in addition to the destruction. This is a very good card with quite a bit of versatility. It can be used to make rank 8s quite easily, it has good stats, and you can use it for decent destruction and potential monster snatching. It's definitely worth running 3 of, and it's just a very nice addition to the archetype. Their first spell card is Darkworld Dealings. It's a normal spell card that lets both players draw 1 card, then discard 1 card. This may seem replaceable by Upstart Golem, but it's one of the most reliable ways to trigger the effects of the Darkworld cards. It's worth running at 3. The next spell card is Darkworld Lightning. Target 1 set card on the field, destroy it, then discard 1 card. This is a pretty good card because it can destroy monsters and back row, and it has that handy discard effect. Overall, this card is arguably worth running over MST or even Twin Twisters, due to that discard effect. It can let you destroy even more cards or draw more cards, so it's worth running at 1 or 2. Their first and only quick play is Gateway to Darkworld. Target 1 Darkworld monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You cannot summon other monsters the turn you activate this effect, but you can set. This is Darkworld's archetypal monster reborn, but it has quite a large restriction. However, because it's a quick play, you can always set it and activate it during your opponent's turn, so you could run 1 or 2. Their continuous spell is Grimoire of Darkworld. During the end phase, if you discarded a monster because you had more cards than your hand size limit, you can special summon one of those monsters. Back when Graceful Charity was legal, when this archetype didn't exist, this card might have been played in 1 out of every 50 Darkworld decks, which, as I said, didn't exist back then. It's gimmicky and not worth running, leave me alone. Their field spell is the Gates of the Dark World. It makes all Fiend-type monsters you control gain 300 attack, and once per turn you can banish one Fiend-type monster from your graveyard, discard one Fiend-type monster, then draw one card. This is a pretty good effect, and the stat boost actually helps your Dark Worlds run over some stuff, like Grapha running over Trishula or any Mega Monarch. The draw effect will help you get your Dark Worlds effects off, and it'll let you get more hand advantage. It's about now that I'd like to mention a card called Trance Archfiend. Once per turn you can discard one Fiend-type monster, then it gains 500 attack, and if it's destroyed, you can add one of your banished Dark monsters to your hand. This helps get back the monsters you banished to use the draw effect. As field spells go, it's pretty good and it does its job for the archetype, but it's definitely not BEF Zelos. The first trap card is a normal trap called the Forces of Darkness. It lets you target 2 Dark World monsters in your graveyard, add those targets to your hand. This isn't a terrible card, but it is slow, because, you know, it's a trap. However, it can always help you recycle cards that you need, even though Dark Worlds tend to like being in the graveyard. You could potentially run it at 1 out of every 10 Dark World decks. The final Dark World card is also their newest piece of support, Dark World Brainwashing, a continuous trap. When an opponent's monster activates its effect and you have 3 or more cards in your hand, you can target one Dark World monster on the field, return it to your hand, then the monster's effect becomes discard one random card from your opponent's hand. This could potentially have some use, but it's not what was needed to bring Dark Worlds back to tier 1-ness. The fact that you need 3 or more cards in your hand is annoying, bouncing a Dark World is a nice touch but honestly unnecessary, and the fact that the discarded card is random, you aren't even assured to get a good outcome. It's just too much effort for too little payoff. If it lets you choose the card to discard, or you could activate it with no cards in your hand, then it would be worth running, but that isn't the case, so, you know, it's not. Now we move on to the grading scale. I promise that I won't mess these grades up like I did with Ice Barriers. Consistency. This deck has a lot of draw power, a very nice search card, and access to Allure of Darkness, so I'd be willing to give this a green. Power. All the relevant monsters have decent stats for their levels. The field spell allows them to run over quite a few things, particularly Grapha, and they have a lot of destruction options, so again, I'll give this a green. Comeback ability. Considering you can bring out a 2700 attack monster with just a tiny amount of field setup and a low level Dark World monster, I'd be willing to give this at least half a point. Protection. There is literally nothing going on here. Seriously, protection does not exist for this archetype. Versatility. Due to the amount of things this deck can do, such as putting cards on the bottom of the opponent's deck, destroying field presence, and even stealing monsters from their hand and graveyard, I'll be willing to give them a yellow in this area. Here's my current deck list for Dark Worlds, utilizing Lucent and Ceruli, as well as including the Phantom Knight's rank up spell to go into Dark Requiem or Alter Entity Azoth. If you feel like it, remove the Ceruli, Lucent, and rank ups and put in cards such as Dark Smog or Skill Drain, which are very nice cards to include in this deck. To my knowledge, Dark Worlds are one of the first decks that introduced the concept of less is more, so to speak. They help to bring in the trend of monsters actually wanting to be in the graveyard and deliberately discarding or destroying your own things to gain advantage. I would like more support for this archetype that's actually good, unlike Brainwashing, because they have a very good playstyle and you wouldn't have to do much to fix their problems. Just give them a card that doesn't let them be targeted or destroyed by card effects and you're done. They also have amazing artwork for the most part, so I would like it if Konami took design inspiration and gave us another horror themed deck like this one. Well, that's another episode of Archetype Review done. You know, I actually kinda like this one. I think I did a pretty good job.
Do you honestly think you're doing a good job?
What the fuck is that?
I am down here.
What? Who the fuck are you supposed to be?
If you think you're doing a good job at this archetype reviewing, then your number of brain cells could be counted on one hand.
Well, I mean, you don't have to be so rude about it.
Anyone who gives Ice Barriers 3 greens on a grading scale deserves everything they get.
Well, I mean, if you're such an expert, then why aren't you making these videos?
If you have not noticed, I am just a helmet right now. In order to use Sony Vegas, you need arms, or at least a foot. Now stop asking dumb questions.
Well, I'm sorry, it just doesn't explain who you are, how you got here, or why you're blatantly insulting me.
Some say, I don't care. All they know is, I am called the Stick.
Yes.
Hey guys, thanks for watching MattTGM's Halloween edition of Archetype Review. Hopefully you enjoyed, hopefully I've improved. Comment down below what you want to see next, and I'll see you guys in the next review.